Hello everyone, this is Persephone, and today we're going to discuss one of my favorite topics, chastity, combined with another favorite topic that I don't really discuss here, which is self-discipline. And one of the questions that I get over and over from new guys when it comes to chastity and finding my channel is, why should I even try it? I don't have a problem with self-discipline. And that's great when it's true. I mean, who doesn't like a person who is successful? Because if you have self-discipline, you will become successful in whatever you set your mind to do. But it becomes a quite awkward situation when people aren't even aware of how they live day by day. So when it comes to this type of person that comes to openly challenge me, I don't argue anymore. I just say, that's great that you have so much self-discipline, then it's not for you, then you can just try only 24 hours just to verify what you have been telling me, and then you don't have to try it ever again. If you see that it's not difficult or you don't need it, everything in this channel is just an optional guide. If you don't think that it works for you, then you don't have to do it. So they try, and then 8 out of 10 times they message me on OnlyFans or ManyVids or somewhere else to say horrified, "Oh my God, mistress, it was so difficult." And this is difficult to discuss on YouTube because of the censorship, so I'm just going to say it nicely. There are a lot of people who don't doom scroll through adult content and actually, let's just say, pleasure themselves over and over for many hours, but they're constantly preoccupied with it because they're addicted. All addiction starts with preoccupation with it, thinking about it, planning about it, calculating your special credit card on when you are going to go home and buy the content you want, and so on. So when you are in chastity, this preoccupation and this addiction that you are not aware of because it feels bad, who wants to know that they're an out of control addict, comes into the surface, that you are thinking, okay, I'm going to go home and do it, like on autopilot, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm locked, I can't do it. And then you start to think, where am I going to use this extra time now that I'm locked and I can't do it? And how long is that extra time anyway? And I had men who told me that they realized they spent 3, 4, 5 hours per day after their work doom scrolling into adult sites. If you say, okay, what is doom scrolling? It's like this thing where you're clicking into video after video, trying to find the specific type of video that you are into, or trying to find the specific type of video that you want for that day and you can't find elsewhere. And many times, if you're into very specific kink, like for example, if you're into feminization and you have watched everything that is available online, you have to start going to the paid sites and start looking through these previews to decide which one you're going to buy. And it can be hour after hour, and the deeper down the rabbit hole you are, then the harder it is for you to finish the job, to put it again in a YouTube-friendly way. So you find yourself spending so many hours and trying, and eventually you didn't get anything done. Sometimes you don't even find what you were looking for, and you have this feeling of emptiness, of wasting your time. And if you are married or if you are in a long-term relationship, of actual dread. And if you're going to say, okay, which one of the losers who watch you is actually married, I will say something that before I got into the adult digital industry, I was under the impression that it's an industry for people who cannot get women. So I had quite the cultural shock that 70% of my regulars are either married or in long-term relationships. So it becomes harder and harder to spend all of this time and maintain the facade that your relationship is just fine or that you don't have any kinks. And before you think that I'm actually kink-shaming anyone or accusing anyone, I'm not. I've honestly come to realize, after interacting with so many people and my own experiences, that long-term relationships are, for the most part, a rigged, lost game. That even if some of these men who are in their 50s and their 60s are with a woman that she was enthusiastically into engaging in their kinks for the first 5, 10, even 15 years of marriage, there comes a point where she's just sick of it, she's just sick of them, and she doesn't want to do it. So sooner or later, you get into this habit of covering your needs elsewhere, but you cannot keep the balance. And that's why I say that chastity is a learning experience, no matter what your age is, no matter where you come from, no matter what your relationship situation is. You can learn about yourself, and this is something invaluable. And the people who are immature and they say, I know myself and I don't need it, these words will come to bite you back in no time. There are rare cases where I did come across guys who were very disciplined and they tried it and it truly wasn't for them, but these people, like I said, they're unicorns and they usually don't last. They come across my channel and we have conversations or sessions or whatever when they are in between relationships usually, and they find someone else and move on. And you know something, that's what's healthy. That's what I want ideally from every one of my subs. I want you to drive me out of business. To find relationships or to date AI, like I say in my other channel, or to find something that works for you and never have to pay anyone for it. That's the best. And that's the ideal situation. So if you really don't want to do it, then please don't contact me, because I have the other thing that, okay, the video is not too long. I'm going to complain about that a little bit because I like complaining. The people who come across and they say, Mistress, I want to serve you. Then I usually ask them, this happens on OnlyFans. If you want to serve me, that's the path. I don't respond to free messages on Instagram, Twitter, and other free media for people who don't have any money. Femdom is a luxury. You won't have anything happening to you if you don't engage in femdom. So they start saying, Mistress, I want to do whatever you want. If you say this to me, the chance of chastity popping up in the conversation is a whooping 8 out of 10. 80%. So when I say, okay, if it's going to do whatever, if it's going to be whatever I want, buy a cage. I'm like, oh, Mistress, no, how can you do this to me? Then why the hell do you ask me what is it that I want? As if I'm a difficult person to understand. Like you look into my channel and my #1 video has almost 300,000 views and it's about chastity. What do you think am I going to tell you that I'm into? You dressing up as a penguin and going out of the street to scare women? Actually, okay, this hasn't happened yet, but with the kings that I've been hearing like the last months, I'm surprised someone didn't bring this up. So if you really don't want to do it, or if you're so sure that you have zero adult content addiction, that you're this extremely functioning Chad, that he goes through life acing everything, then by all means, good for you, don't waste anyone's time. But if you really want to try something new, then this is the thing that I would recommend starting from first and foremost. And who knows, if your girlfriend or your wife isn't completely fed up, maybe she's going to agree to be your key holder and make things even more interesting. Now, if you're going to say, no woman ever wants these things and you're just crazy, I have another video in this channel. I encourage you to search the channel and click on videos that the title piques your interest, or just randomly. I believe that if a woman likes a guy enough, if she's into him enough, she's going to be so willing to experiment in the way that it would blow your mind. So I'm really sorry, I have some bad news. It's not that women are so close-minded, it's that they're not going to put the effort for you specifically if they're not into you. This is just the way it is. And at the end of the day, there are professional dominatrixes. If you want a very specific experience, there is nothing wrong with going to a professional and having a curated and safe experience. In any case, I'm not a magician. I cannot know, because the other question is, Mistress, will chastity work for me? If I had the gift of prophecy, either I would have a cult in the US, or I would be predicting, Bitcoin and stocks and all of that stuff and becoming rich in a much easier way. I don't. I have no idea if chastity is going to work for you. There are some indications if I talk to you and we see your self-discipline in general, but again, the most certain way is first-hand experience. Nothing beats up first-hand experience. So I would tell you, if I want this to be certain, I want you to try for at least 24 hours. And if you go through them very easily, I'm going to give you a next goal. That's about it for chastity for now. Please sit down and think and be honest with yourself. And last but not least, the men that I really admire, who actually try to tackle their porn addiction and they work on it. Do you know how I know? Because when I ask someone, like, do you have an addiction problem? And they say yes. And I ask them, when was the last time you watched these videos? Or how long did it take you? They know the exact answer. I had a guy who told me I watched 11 days ago for 1.5 hours. I know that this guy is serious about battling this addiction. People who say, I'm not sure, but I don't think I have a problem. Their 2 inches are about to fall off from too much stroking at BBC News, usually. So you can try to fool me. I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to be rude towards you unless you really piss me off. But at the end of the day, the only one you are trying to fool unsuccessfully is yourself. If you really need to avoid chastity at any means, because you feel that you don't need it, chances are you're so out of control, you're afraid you're not going to last even 1 hour, and you don't want the ugly truth out. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you for watching.